Adam had always been the steady one in his relationship with Sandra. They met in college in Chicago, back when life felt full of promise. They bonded over late-night study sessions that turned into whispered dreams about the future. Fast forward 5 years, and they were sharing a small apartment in Brooklyn, New York, chasing the American dream. Sandra landed a solid job at a digital agency, pulling in enough to cover rent and groceries. Adam worked as a software developer for a mid-sized tech firm. But when the layoffs hit in early 2025, he was one of the first to go. "It's just temporary," he told Sandra that night, forcing a smile as they sat on their worn-out couch. "I'll bounce back." But months dragged on. Adam sent out hundreds of resumes, attended virtual interviews that led nowhere, and watched his savings dwindle. Sandra picked up extra freelance gigs to keep him afloat, but the strain showed. Adam started stress eating. Late-night bags of chips, extra slices of pizza delivery, and the weight crept on, turning his once athletic frame soft around the edges. Small arguments erupted like brush fires. Who'd forgotten to pay the electric bill? Why the dishes were piling up? Whose turn it was to walk the dog that they didn't even have? "You're not even trying anymore," Sandra snapped one evening after finding him binge-watching Netflix instead of job hunting. Adam shot back, "You think I'd like this? Feeling like a loser every day?" He did feel like a failure. Staring at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, Adam saw a man unraveling. Desperation led him down rabbit holes online. LinkedIn tips, resume builders, and then, inevitably, those glossy ads for life coaches promising miracles. "Build a blissful life full of gratitude," one banner read, featuring testimonials from people who had turned their lives around. "I was broke and broke in until I met my guide," one woman gushed. Adam scrolled skeptically at first, but the stories hooked him. What if there was a way out? One rainy evening, an email pinged in his inbox. "Hi, I'm Jennifer, your guide. I can unlock your true potential and lead you out of your problems. Click the link below to start the free chat." It seemed too coincidental, but Adam clicked anyway. The chat room loaded instantly. A sleek interface with a profile pic of a serene woman smiling warmly. "Welcome, Adam. I'm Jennifer. Tell me about yourself." The message popped up. He hesitated, and then typed his date of birth, his job loss, the fights with Sandra. Jennifer responded quickly. "I sense you've been feeling lost since May 15th. That's when the layoff happened, right? And your weight gain started around July." Adam's jaw dropped. How could she know? It was generic enough to be a lucky guess, but it felt personal. "Yes, exactly," he replied. "How did you know?" "It's my gift," she wrote. "I connect with energies. Let's work on unlocking yours." Their chats became daily rituals. Jennifer doled out advice that started small, but grew bizarre. "Switch to chamomile tea every morning. It clears negative vibes," she instructed. Adam complied, dumping his coffee habit. "Wear a blue shirt on Tuesdays for confidence boosts." He rummaged through his closet, finding an old button-up. Then came the weirder ones. "Avoid mirrors after 8 p.m. They reflect back doubts." Adam covered the bathroom mirror with a towel each night. "Carry a pebble in your left pocket, painted red for passion. Rub it when you feel low." He found a stone in the park, painted it with Sandra's nail polish. "Whisper, 'I am worthy' 3 times before eating any meal." Adam muttered it under his breath at dinner, earning a quizzical look from Sandra. "What are you doing?" she asked one night, spooning pasta onto plates. "Just affirming myself," he said vaguely. Sandra raised an eyebrow. "Okay, weirdo." As weeks passed, Adam felt a shift, or so he thought. A job interview came through, though it fell apart. He credited Jennifer. "You're my miracle," he messaged her. But Sandra noticed the changes. Adam's phone buzzed constantly with notifications. he'd sneak off to the bedroom for quick chats. One afternoon, she peeked over his shoulder and saw the instructions. "This is Adam," she said, her voice sharp. "Life coaches? Predictions? It's all pseudoscience, preying on vulnerable people. Placebos at best, scams at worst." "You don't get it. She's helping me." "Helping? By telling you not to wear brown shoes because they ground negative energy? Come on, babe, you're smarter than this." That night, Adam vented to Jennifer. "My girlfriend thinks you're a fraud. She's always criticizing now. It's frustrating." Jennifer's response came after a pause. "I see the issue. Sandra's energies are heavy, Adam. They're blocking your blessings. Guardian angels are trying to reach you, but her negativity is in the way. That's why the job hunt stalled, why your health is declining. She might even be the root of your job loss, subconsciously manifesting it." Adam stared at the screen. "What? No, Sandra's been supporting me." "Trust me," Jennifer typed. "I've seen this before. To fix it, you need to separate. Break up with her. Clear the path." His heart sank. Break up? Sandra was his rock, even through the mess. "Isn't there another way?" he pleaded. There was a long delay. Then, "There is an alternative, but it's intensive. It requires investment. $5,000 for cleansing. And you must follow my instructions precisely to purge her negative energies and rebuild a new Sandra." Adam swallowed hard. $5,000? They didn't have that. But maybe he could borrow from his parents. "Okay, what do I do?" "Tie her up securely for a full month. Use soft ropes to avoid marks, but keep her immobilized in a quiet room. Feed her only vegetable soup 3 times a day. It detoxifies the soul. Shave all her hair, head, eyebrows, body hair. It symbolizes shedding the old, corrupted self. Bathe her in salt water daily while chanting renew and release 7 times. Adam's fingers hovered over the keyboard. It sounded insane, but Jennifer had been right before. Maybe this was the miracle he needed. "All right," he typed. "I'll do it for us." Unknown to him, Sandra had slipped back into the room, drawn by his frantic typing. She read over his shoulder, her face paling as the words sank in. "Tie her up? Shave her? For a month?" Rage boiled up, hot and unfiltered. This idiot was agreeing to torture her on the advice of some online con artist? She grabbed his head from behind, slamming it forward into the keyboard with a crack that echoed through the apartment. Keys scattered like confetti. "You are the most idiotic guy I have ever dated!" Sandra screamed. Adam yelped, clutching his forehead, blood trickling from split skin. "Sandra, what the hell? What the hell? You're planning to tie me up and shave me bald because some scam artist says I'm negative energy? Are you f***ing kidding me?" He spun in the chair, face flushed. "It's not like that. Jennifer said it would help us. Rebuild you. Make things better." "Rebuild me? Like I'm a goddamn project? You've lost your mind, Adam. All this time I have been busting my ass to support us, and you're throwing it away on this But she's helped me feel better. The instructions work. Placebo, you And now you're ready to assault me? For $5,000 we don't have? Tears stung her eyes, but anger won out. She grabbed her coat and keys. "I'm done! We're done! Sandra, wait! Jennifer is our life!" "Shut the hell up, you wimp! Don't call, don't text, lose my number!" She slammed the door behind her. Adam sat there, stunned, the chat window still open. Jennifer messaged, "Everything okay?" "No, Sandra just left me," Adam typed. "Good, this is great. Consider this as the first day of your new life. I remember that day I moved into that dorm room at UCLA like it was yesterday. It was the fall of my sophomore year, and I'd just broken up with my high school boyfriend back in Seattle. I needed a fresh start, No more drama. Just focus on my psych major and maybe join a sorority. The housing office paired me with this girl named Emily. She seemed normal enough when we emailed beforehand. Blonde, from Chicago, into yoga and indie bands. We met in the lobby with our boxes, and she gave me this big, genuine hug like we'd known each other forever. "Hey, I'm Emily. Oh my God, your hair is amazing. Is that natural?" she said, tossing her ponytail over her shoulder. I laughed, feeling a bit awkward, but relieved. "Thanks. Yeah, it's all mine. I'm Jessica, by the way. Nice to finally meet you in person." We hauled our stuff up to the third floor, chatting about our classes. She was pre-med, super ambitious, and had this infectious energy. "I can't wait to hit up the beach this weekend," she said. "You in? We could grab tacos from that truck on Westwood." "Sounds perfect," I replied, already picturing us as besties. The room was tiny. 2 twin beds shoved against opposite walls, desk, and a window overlooking the quad. We unpacked, blasting Taylor Swift playlists, and by dinner, we were swapping stories about our exes. "Mine was such a jerk," Emily confessed over pizza in the cafeteria. "Cheated with his lab partner." "What's your story?" "Nah, long distance killed it," I said, shrugging. "Couldn't handle me being here." "Whatever. Good riddance." She clinked her soda against mine. "To new beginnings." That night, though, everything changed. We'd stayed up late watching Netflix, some rom-com to unwind, and finally crashed around midnight. I was exhausted from moving, so I fell asleep fast. But I woke up maybe 2 hours later to this blood-curdling yelling. "No! No! 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 No!" It was Emily, thrashing in her bed like she was fighting off a demon. My heart pounded. I sat up, clutching my blanket. "Emily? Are you okay?" No answer. She flung her covers off in one violent swipe, and they landed in a heap on the floor. The room was dim, just moonlight filtering through the blinds. She sat bolt upright, her eyes wide open, like she wasn't really seeing anything. Then she whispered, so softly I almost missed it. "Not the window." I froze. Was she awake? Dreaming? I whispered back, "Emily? Hey, talk to me." She didn't. Instead, she swung her legs over the side of the bed and stood up. She shuffled to the window. My mind raced. Sleepwalking? I'd heard stories, but this was next level. She grabbed the lock with both hands and started twisting it back and forth. Lock, unlock, unlock, over and over, whispering to herself the whole time, mumbling words I couldn't make out, like a chant. "Emily, stop! You're scaring me!" She ignored me. After what felt like forever, probably 3 minutes, she let go and muttered, "That'll do." And then she turned and started back toward her bed. But as she passed mine, she stopped dead, pivoted slowly to face me. Her eyes locked on mine, but they were empty, like staring into a void. She just stood there, breathing heavily for a solid 2 minutes. I could feel my pulse in my throat. Was she going to lunge? Scream? I didn't dare move. Finally, she whispered something incoherent and kept walking, right past her bed to the door. She reached out and dragged her hand down the wood from top to bottom, nails scraping lightly. Then she turned around, shuffled back, climbed into bed, and pulled the covers up like nothing happened. I lay there wide awake, terrified out of my mind. My skin crawled. What the hell was that? Part of me wanted to bolt, grab my keys, and crash on a friend's couch. But it was 2 a.m. and I didn't want to seem dramatic. Plus, she seemed so normal earlier. Maybe it was a one-off. Stress from the move or something. I didn't sleep a wink the rest of the night. Just stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathe. Morning came, and Emily woke up chipper as ever. "Good morning. How'd you sleep?" she asked, stretching and grabbing her towel for the shower. Fine," I lied, forcing a smile. "You?" "Like a rock. Must be the California air." She laughed and headed out. I never told her. How do you even bring that up? "Hey, roomie, you turned into a zombie last night and creeped me out?" We lived together for the whole semester, and she never did it again. Not that I noticed, anyway. I'd lie awake some nights, waiting, but she slept like a baby. We actually became friends, went to parties, studied together, even road tripped to Big Sur one weekend. I remember it like it was yesterday, even though it's been over 2 decades. Back in 2002, I was 23 with a certificate in welding, and I had just landed my first real job at this gritty shop in the industrial part of Michigan, Warren. The pay wasn't great, but it was enough to get me out of my parents' basement and into my own apartment. I was so proud. It felt like freedom, like I was finally adulting. And that's where I met Jake. He was this massive guy, probably 6'4" and built like a linebacker. He never talked much about his time in Core. We worked the same shift, grinding away at metal frames for auto parts. And then, one day, after clocking out, his truck wouldn't start. "Yo, brother, you headed east? Mind giving a big dumb Marine a ride?" He grinned, breath fogging in the cold. I laughed. "Hop in, big dumb Marine." That ride turned into every night. We'd blast Slipknot or Old Cash, stop at Kroger for a 12-pack, and then end up at his mom's little ranch house where Rita would have biscuits and gravy waiting like we were still growing boys. Rita was a saint. Cigarette rasp, bleach, blonde hair, and she'd shove a plate at you before you even got your coat off. "Eat, both of you. You're skin and bones," she'd say, even though Jake was built like a refrigerator. One night in March, Jake cracked his 4th beer and said, "Man, this commuting shit is killing me. Why don't I just crash at your place? Split rent 50-50. Save us both money." I didn't even think twice. Hell yeah! Move in tomorrow. Biggest mistake of my 20s. The first month was actually fun. We'd get home, shower off the slag and sweat, pound beers, and Jake would fire up his screamin' Dell and jump into Yahoo voice chants. Dude would argue with me about Halo 2 until 3 in the morning. "You're trash, man. I'd punch you in real life." He'd scream into the headset, laughing like a maniac. I'd yell, "Tell him you'll piss on his motherboard," and we'd lose it. And then the switch flipped. He started calling in sick. I'd drag my ass to work alone and then come home to him passed out in his boxers, an empty case of Busch on the floor, and puke dried on the coffee table. One time I walked in and the living room smelled like a urinal cake exploded. "Jake, what the hell, man?" I kicked his foot. He lifted his head, eyes unfocused. I don't know, brother. Must have spilled something." There was a puddle of piss in the corner and a half-eaten Domino's face down on my couch. I almost threw up myself out the window. "You gotta get a handle on this. You're wrecking the place." "Oh, I got it. I got it," he'd mumble, hungover and sorry. Next day, same shit, new case. It escalated fast. One night, he put his fist through the drywall because some teenager online called him a washed-up jarhead. Another night, I came home and he was screaming at the TV, swinging a golf club at shadows. "Jake, put the damn club down!" He turned, swaying, eyes black. "You gonna make me, little man?" Now, I'm 6'1", 210, but he had 4 inches and 70 pounds on me. I backed off. Slept with my door locked and a knife under the pillow after that. I told him flat out, "You've got till the end of the month to get out." He laughed in my face. "I pay half the rent, try and evict me." A couple weeks later, I came home from overtime, and the apartment door was kicked in. Cops. Turns out, Jake had gone to a bar on 8 Mile, got in a fight over a pool game, and cracked some dude's orbital with a cue stick. Felony assault. They hauled him off in cuffs while I stood there in my greasy coveralls, thanking God out loud. His mom, Rita, showed up the next day, crying, packing his shit in trash bags. "I'm so sorry, honey. I didn't know it was this bad." "It's okay, Miss Rita. Just get him out of my life." I thought that was the end. Until 3 a.m. 2 months later. "Open up! It's Jake! I got nowhere to go!" I looked through the peephole. He looked like a scarecrow that lost a fight with a lawnmower. "Get the hell away from my door before I call the cops again." "Come on, man. One night. I'm sober, I swear." I dialed 911. Cops came, dragged him off for violating the no-contact order that the judge slapped on him. That was the last time I saw him in person. Well, fast forward 20-plus years. I'd done 2 hours in the sandbox with a defense contractor, married a German girl that I met in Stuttgart, had 3 kids, moved back to Michigan when her mom got sick. One night last fall, I'm doom-scrolling Facebook at 1 a.m. because jet lag still owns me, and his name pops up in People You May Know. Jake Harlan. Profile pic? Him in a polo shirt, arms crossed, smiling clean. Cover photo? Him accepting some certificate. I clicked. Bio said, 8 years sober, peer recovery coach, training to be a CADC. The hell? I sent a message. "Big Jake? That you, man?" He replied in like 30 seconds. "Holy shit. Brother? How you living?" We ended up on Messenger for 3 hours. "Man, I owe you the biggest apology on planet Earth," he typed. "I was a goddamn animal back then. I don't even remember half the shit I did to you, but I know I pissed in your corners, puked on your couch, threatened you. I'm ashamed." I laughed. Actually laughed. "Yeah, you were a walking disaster, dude. Scared the shit out of me. AA and jail saved my life. After that last arrest, I woke up dope sick in county, crying. Mom dragged me to a meeting. Been clean ever since. Now I work at the very same treatment center that pulled me out the gutter. I help guys that used to be me." Oh, that's badass, Jake. Proud of you, brother. Tried finding you years ago to make amends. Step 9, you know? Never could track you down. Well, you found me now. We talked about Rita. She passed in 2019. And those biscuits and gravy we used to scarf down. He sent me a picture of his new rescue pit bull named Biscuit. I sent him one of my kids holding fish up at Lake St. Clair. At the end, he wrote, "If you ever forgive me, I'd love to buy you a coffee sometime. If not, I get it. Just know I'm sorry from the bottom of my soul." I remember the summer I backpacked through Europe alone. Berlin was my 3rd stop, and I chose this cheap but nice hostel in Kreuzberg because it promised vibrant communal vibes. My room was a mixed dorm with 4 bunks, but I spent most of my time in the common area. That's where I first noticed him. He was in his late 20s, maybe, with a gaunt face framed by greasy black hair and a beard that looked like it hadn't seen a trim in months. He always claimed the same armchair by the window, knees pulled up, rocking slightly as he muttered prayers. His eyes, dark, unblinking, locked onto me the second I walked in. At first I brushed it off. "Hey, you're new here?" A bubbly Australian girl named Mia asked me that first evening, offering me a donut. "Yeah, just got in from Prague," I replied, glancing over at him. He didn't move, just stared, his lips moving silently. "That guy's been here forever," Mia whispered, rolling her eyes. "Creepy as hell, right? Prays all day, disappears at night. I think he's harmless, though." Harmless? By day 2, I wasn't so sure. I'd wake up to find him already there, eyes following me as I made breakfast. "What is your problem?" I muttered under my breath once, but he didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned forward, whispering something, like a curse. I tried ignoring him, chatting with other guests to drown it out. "So, where are you from?" a cute French guy named Luke asked during a group game of cards. "Chicago," I said, forcing a smile. "You?" But even as Luke flirted, "The Windy City, I must visit for the deep dish pizza," I felt those eyes boring into my back. The mutterings grew louder when I laughed, like he was judging me, or worse, fantasizing. Night 3 was when it escalated. I couldn't sleep, the bunk creaking above me from some snoring Brit. Around 2 a.m., I heard the front door click. Peeking out, I saw him slip into the darkness. "Where do you think he goes?" I asked Mia the next morning as we sipped coffee. She shrugged. "Probably some shady shit, who knows. But girl, don't let it ruin your trip. Berlin's amazing. Go see the wall today." I tried. I wandered the streets, snapped photos of graffiti, but back at the hostel, there he was again. His stares followed me to the bathroom, the kitchen, even when I paced the lounge, talking on my phone to my mom back home. "Mom, this guy's freaking me out," I confessed in a hushed voice. "He just watches all the time." She paused. "Honey, trust your gut. Get out if it feels wrong." I stared back that day, openly challenging him. "What? You got something to say?" I snapped, loud enough for the room to hear. But he just smiled, a thin, predatory grin, and kept muttering something I couldn't understand. It chilled me. That night, alone in my bunk, I imagined the worst. Him sneaking in, his hands on me, that beard scratching my skin. Ugh. My heart pounded. I barely slept, clutching my pepper spray under the pillow. By day 4, I was done. I found a women-only hostel in Mitte. Cleaner, friendlier, with sane people. For the first time in days, I breathed easy. Looking back, it taught me something and made me stronger. Berlin, yeah, it stared me down. But I stared right back and won. Being a travel nurse wasn't easy. Well, being any type of nurse wasn't easy, with the long, exhausting hours, back-to-back shifts, mentality-draining situations, and the regular high stakes of the job. Adding constant travel and lack of routine to that mix wasn't for everyone. I worked for 5 years as a regular nurse in Phoenix until I took the plunge and became a travel nurse. The road, until I got accustomed to the hurdles of the job, was extremely challenging, and I even considered giving up and going back home many times. But for someone that prioritizes flexibility and higher pay, being a travel nurse was the best thing for me. My agency sent me a 6-week contract in rural Arizona with an amazing net pay per week and a high stipend. And it was perfectly located 45 minutes away from my parents' house, so I could pocket the stipend money by not having to pay for housing or accommodations. Also, I would get to spend the days I wasn't working with my parents, just enjoying their company. My mom had been vibrating with excitement since I made the call, letting her know I was heading their way. It was a win-win. While driving through the 89 towards Flagstaff, the low gas signal on my dashboard lit up, and I fixed my eyes on the road for the first gas station nearby. One didn't appear for the next 10 miles or so, and even then, it was such a small place, I briefly wondered if it was even working to begin with. But the light at the convenience store was the only bright thing in the night, so I figured it was worth a shot. Besides, there was another car by the air station. So I parked parallel to one pump and got out to fill my tank. Lord knew it was almost empty. Except the first one wasn't working. Or the second. But the third one was the charm, and the pump was on and seemed in order. When I went to take my card, however, it wouldn't budge. The thing was completely stuck inside the machine, and no amount of pulling or wiggling or a combination of both would get it out. I looked towards the big glass window of the convenience store, but didn't see anyone inside. The lights were still on, including the one of a small refrigerator in the back, so I knew someone had to be there, somewhere. Frustrated, I pressed the help button on the pump and waited for a response. Not even 10 seconds later, I heard a male voice over the intercom. "Yes?" When I looked back at the glass window, there was a clerk standing behind the counter, looking mighty annoyed with me. Ignoring the fact that he wasn't there less than a minute ago, I pushed the button again so he could hear me. "Hi, my card got stuck in the machine. Can you help?" "If you hold the exit button and pull the card, it should come out, ma'am." I did as he instructed, but it was still stuck. Well, it didn't. I couldn't understand why the guy just wouldn't come out. I waved at him and motioned towards the pump, but he still didn't move, not even an inch. "Can't you just come here and help, please?" After much trouble, I watched as the guy finally rounded the corner of the balcony and made his way outside towards me. I couldn't say he was a creepy-looking guy, but I couldn't say he wasn't either. There was just something about him that made you uneasy. Maybe his face was too gaunt, or his body too lanky. I didn't know. But he definitely gave me the proverbial heebie-jeebies the whole time he stood beside me, basically opening the machine to get my card out. He would steal glances at me now and then, that I returned with uncomfortable half-smiles. After my card was finally freed, that pump could no longer be used, so he told me to go inside and pay in cash. And it was pure luck I still had any on me. We went in, and as he was counting the change, I purposefully didn't look at him. But I could feel that he was staring at me the whole time. I couldn't wait to be out of there and far away from this creep. He handed me the cash, his cold, twitchy fingers sliding against mine, and I put it in my pocket without even checking it. I just wanted out. As I turned around, my eyes quickly landed on that big, convex mirror most convenience stores have. And that was when I saw it. Right by the corner, tucked under the balcony, there was someone, a girl maybe, with their hands and feet bound. A cold shiver went over my whole body, from head to toe. I suddenly found myself frozen in place, unable to move, not even a single muscle. Who was that person? What were they doing there? Did the clerk kidnap them? Then, I remembered the car already parked outside when I arrived, and my mind put the two and two together. The person under the balcony had to be the owner of the car. Something wrong? His voice called my attention back, and I realized I probably stood there for way too long. I had to say something, anything, so he wouldn't suspect I'd seen it. My solution was to ask for a pack of cigarettes, and after he gave it to me, I nearly flew out of there. Once inside my car and about a mile away from the gas station, I finally allowed myself to breathe. My hands were shaking so much I feared they would turn the wheel in a different direction. I kept driving, but my mind was still focused on the person under the balcony. I couldn't leave them there, alone and scared. What if he killed the person? He could. No one kidnapped another person or held them hostage if they weren't ready for some serious violence. Damn, I had to get back there. Cursing my lack of judgment, I stopped the car on the side of the road, got my lantern and my emergency nursing kit, my phone, and I went walking into the night, headed back to the gas station. I was sensible enough to call 911 and report the emergency, but we were in the middle of nowhere. God only knew how long it would take them to get there. I had to act fast. When I spotted the faint light of the convenience store, I ducked down to avoid being seen. The car by the air station was unlocked, keys still in the ignition, and since it was outside the range of the convenience store's window, I risked opening it. The documents inside the glove compartment told me it belonged to an Anne Marie Toombs, 21, from California. God, she was so young, barely even an adult yet. I had to be smart about it. Otherwise, we would both end up in trouble, not just her. As I tried to come up with a game plan to successfully save someone from captivity, a desperate, pain-filled screech broke into the night.
He was hurting her. There was no doubt about it. My brain immediately went into the zone. The same place it went in a packed hospital, with dozens of people pulling at us nurses from all directions, begging for help. Clutching at my emergency bag, I rounded the corner, staying close to the wall, looking for another point of entry. Sadly, I couldn't find any back entrance, so the only way in was through the front door. And the one thing I remembered about it was how it creaked when it opened. Okay, so there was no way of getting in without being heard. That made things difficult, not to say nearly impossible. Still, what choice did I have? Wasn't like I could... The car! I remembered noticing that Anne's car was one of those models that had a panic button on the key fob. I went back towards it, grabbed the key fob, and walked towards the convenience store, careful to remain hidden. The alarm rang incredibly loud into the quiet night, and it didn't take long until the clerk was fumbling outside to check. Without missing a beat, I took that opportunity to get inside, praying that the noise of the alarm would be enough to mask the door's noise. Once inside, the place was eerily calm. My footsteps rang loud in my ears as I made my way towards a dark corridor that led to 3 other doors. I found her in the last one, marked Maintenance Room. Something I didn't notice before was that a dark cloth covered her eyes, so when she heard me getting in, her first instinct was to scream and beg for me to let her go. I crouched beside her in an instant, covering her mouth. "Shh, I'm here to help you, Anne," I whispered, still paying attention to the noise outside from the alarm. "I'll get you out of here. I promise." Briefly assessing her for injuries was a mistake, because she looked terrible. Bruises on top of one another, many cuts, all in different stages of healing. It was clear that she'd been tortured, by the looks of it, for at least a few days. I grabbed the shears from my emergency kit and cut the rope from her feet. Taken aback when removing the tight material also took bits of her skin with it. She wouldn't make it one step out of there without some very strong painkiller, so I quickly prepared a syringe with medication to give it to her. In my hyper-focused state, I failed to notice that the alarm outside had stopped, and that was a big mistake. Next thing I knew, a vicious grip on my hair dragged me away from Anne and towards the opposite wall, slamming me against it. The pain was sharp, agonizing, and spread all over my body in a quick wave. I realized then that the sharp remaining part of a metal pipe had briefly impaled my arm on impact. Now I was the one who needed a very strong painkiller. I had no time to get my bearings because the clerk caught up to me quickly, holding me by the neck, alternating between choking me and hitting my head against the tiles. The syringe fell just inches away from my hand, but it might as well be miles away. I couldn't reach it. My vision was already fading along the edges, and the last image I would ever see was the snarling, deformed face of the clerk, killing me. I heard a desperate grunt, followed by a loud scream, and I opened my eyes to find that Anne, even with her hands still bound and incredibly weak, managed to stab the clerk's inner thigh with my shears. Immediately, he started bleeding profusely. If it sliced through a major artery, it could be enough to incapacitate him. Still, I didn't want to take any chances. As he writhed on the floor, clearly in agony, I saw my opportunity. I straddled his torso, grabbed the syringe from the floor, and then with both hands and using all my strength, stabbed him with it. Underneath me, his body twisted like a bolt of electricity zapped him. And then he stopped moving, completely. The syringe went right into the middle of his left eye, still sticking out like a weird flagpole. The sight was absurd enough it almost made me laugh. Anne and I stared at each other in total disbelief. Somehow, we'd made it. We were alive. Then, we had to nearly drag ourselves towards the front door and wait for the police. They couldn't come soon enough. One thing was certain. I